Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Low Bottom High Rise podcast with me, your host, Moira Casaba. I am thrilled to be here today to talk to you guys about something that is just so present in my life right now, so present on my heart, so present in my thoughts and just how I'm kind of operating in the world. And it has been a game changer. And I want to share just some of literally my personal journey and what I'm walking through these last few weeks and hopefully how it can help you, right? That's what we're here for. And it's really going to be just an introduction to a really big philosophy, a really big concept that I am definitely going down the path of and have for lots and lots of years, but I'm approaching it a little bit differently. And are you ready for this? Are you ready for what it is? So it is the idea of our masculine, feminine energies, right? And how we definitely have both male and female. We both have masculine and feminine energy. And, it is probably no surprise to you. It is no surprise to me that I've known for a long time that I have a lot of masculine energy. I'm an athlete, I'm an achiever, I'm an overachiever, I'm driven like no other, not like no other, but that's just my personality. It's how I was born into this world with a lot of masculine energy and things like achievement, things like, go-getters, goal setting, money makers, like that is very much a natural leadership. That's a very masculine energy. And any time that I have tiptoed into, maybe you should tap into your feminine, I'm like, oh, it makes me uncomfortable. And I'll tell you why it makes me uncomfortable, because what I've come to realize is that society has put on this framework of the femininity that is passive, and maybe this is just my interpretation, but I don't think it is passive, is weak, is to be in your femininity means to be subservient. Like, no. Whoa, I think I almost just broke the microphone. But hell no, right? When we talk about being in our feminine, we're still talking about being in our feminine power, right? Like, we're not talking about being powerless. We're not talking about somebody or something having power over us. I think that for some reason is where I get wildly uncomfortable in my skin, is the idea that somebody or something has control or power over me does not sit well with me. So how have I been all of a sudden taking another look at this feminine energy, right? And here's the word that identifies, how I just said, like goal driven, overachiever, natural leader, like, you know, um, all of those things are of a masculine energy. Well, here is a word that to me defines feminine energy, but does not define powerlessness. And that is the word receive. Simply the word receive. So if you think about the masculine being the doer energy, the action, well, there has to be this beautiful balance, right, of being able to receive. And when we're talking about simply law of attraction, right, which I have studied for decades, which I am the master of, not only manifesting and bringing things into my life, but also teaching these concepts from a very real neuroscience action-oriented place. I think so many people study manifestation and law of attraction, and they are not realizing that action is a huge part of that, which is this masculine part, right? But the third part of most traditions that you read, when you read most traditions of manifestation and law of attraction, is this last final step of being able to receive it, being able to allow it is another word, right? To receive or to allow it to be manifested into your life. That's that's from our feminine, right? This has nothing to do with being weak or having less power or meek. It has to do with us stepping into that really immense power of of just being able to switch gears, right? And receive and allow. And that I can get behind. That I can get behind. And so because I am such a go, 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 and I feel like I attract and I'm surrounded by those types of people because I thrive with those people in my life. People drive me crazy that don't take action, right? So I'm in a bubble and in a world of overachieving women. And I think so much of our next level, because we're always striving, right? Instead of our next level being found through more action and more this and more that and more, we have to understand that our next level is going to be found in the allowing, right? In the receiving of that next level, because so often we can't work more, we can't do more, we can't do more, right? It's impossible. So how do people break through when say you're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week and you're making $1 million and you want to make $10 million? How do you get to that quantum leap of a whole nother level? You certainly can't do it by just doing more. You don't even have enough minutes in your day to do anything more, right? So there has to be this shift energetically to open up and to allow things, to be able to receive things in energetically that are going to unlock the next level. And so how does this show up in my everyday life, right? It shows up in little things that are hard for me to do, like allowing my husband to do things for me, right? Like, this sounds so incredibly trivial and silly, but I remember this being like a big whoa moment for me. Um, say that, like, I mean, I travel all the time. And if I pull into the driveway and say I've traveled across the world, I've traveled across oceans, I've taken red eyes, whatever it is, I get out of the car and I get everything out of the car and I get my huge luggage and I drag it into the house and I bring it up the stairs. Like, I can't imagine a world where I wouldn't do that. However, I need to be imagining a world. I need to actually be living in a world where I wouldn't do that, because this is what sounds so silly, but many years ago, this was probably 10, 15 years ago, I was at my house, which our house then was actually built up like, you drove underneath, you parked underneath. So it was actually, just to get to the front door, you had to walk up a big flight of stairs. And my mother-in-law, my husband's mom, comes to visit. And she comes to the front door and we open the door and we greet her, and she comes into the kitchen and she sits down and all she has is a little purse in her hand. I didn't think anything of it until my husband was walking. He walked out of the room, still didn't think anything of it. And I'm just sitting there having a great conversation with my mother-in-law and, how are you? Da, da, da. And all of a sudden the front door opens and he has like 3 suitcases that he's bringing in. And I was like, wait, what just happened? She didn't even ask you to go get her luggage. Like, it just went without saying that she wouldn't have brought the luggage in and that you would automatically go do that for her. What? Like, I'm your wife. Why don't I not bring my luggage in? And so it was just, I always teach contrast equals clarity. This was a moment of contrast that gave me some clarity about how I needed to allow somebody to do something for me instead of always doing it on my own and getting burnt out and getting exhausted and often getting resentful, right? So those are the little things that, like, we have to start to allow others to do for us. We have to learn how to, stop for 5 minutes and go out. And I just love sunshine. I don't know what it is. I think I'm more prone to, like, sunshine, vitamin D just like hit for me. And so going out and just sitting in the sun for 5 minutes with my palms open and thinking, I'm just going to receive. Instead of do, give, action, 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 action. I just need to flip that on its head for a minute and I just need to receive. I just need to step into that feminine energy, step into the state of allowing, and energetically shift into also being filled up instead of being depleted, right? Our masculine energy often depletes, our feminine energy often refuels, right? And so if you're like, whoa, I don't want to all of a sudden like start pole dancing and putting on lingerie. Like, no. That's what society has messed up for us. There's a piece there, but we're not going there. I'm just talking about the feminine energy being one of receiving, one of allowing, one of letting yourself be replenished instead of depleting yourself, right? So this is interesting, and I'm going to kind of wrap this short little episode shortly because I wanted to just give you these little nuggets, right? Just tiny little nuggets. But here's another way that you can start to understand where is the feminine energy and where is the masculine energy. So one of the reasons, and you really need to be able to tap into both fully to go to like next level success, next level wealth, next level impact, right? And I look back at what I've done and I'm like, oh, I can see it's all very interwoven with some heavy masculine energy. But the feminine's been there, right? Because I teach action, 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 time hack your life, time block your life, like da 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 da, da do the IPAs, do the first things first, like all of that. That's all masculine. But I also lead, before we even touch that, I lead with vision, right? Desire. That's your feminine energy. What do you desire? What is your soul whispering? Your intuition is your feminine energy. Now, once we start getting like laser focused on goals and like boom, 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 1, 2, 3, these are my goals, laser focus, let's go. We're starting to shift, right? We're starting to just shift out of that vision and desire and intuition and tuning into what's going on in our body. That's all the feminine. And then we go, okay, got it. Now let me shift into action. Let me shift into that masculine energy and get shit done, right? So it has been mind blowing and mind bending for me to start to look at this balance of how both are so important, and the fact that femininity does not mean powerless or not even powerless, but dimming your light. There's nothing in your feminine power that has to do with dimming your dang light. Like, it is when you're receiving and you're allowing and you are being filled up, that light is growing so much brighter and that power is growing so much brighter for you to just set the freaking world on fire, right? So I hope that this episode just wakes you up a little bit to this concept and shifts your actions, or really inactions, right? Starts to shift you into knowing that by allowing, by receiving, by allowing yourself to be refueled, that is in fact the most strategic action you can take for your goals, versus feeling guilty because you're taking your foot off the gas, right? So, we talk about high performance, we talk about high achievers in here all the time. And I truly believe, whether you're male or female, this is so incredibly important. And this is where those quantum levels of next level, right, of achieving really, really, really happen. They cannot happen by just doing more. And I'm going to leave you with this. If you haven't read the book, 10x is easier than 2x. It doesn't tap into like masculine, feminine energies, but it really taps into the concept of, going to that quantum leap from 2x to 10x. So let's say you're making $100,000. So often we're like, how do I make $200,000? Well, what if you were to say, at $100,000, how do I make $1 million? Right? So that's the 10x versus the 2x. And the philosophy of this book is, it doesn't come from doing more. It does not come from doing more. It comes from a radical, radical, radical shift. And instead of doing more of the 20 things you're currently doing, you actually start doing way less better, right? That when you want to 10x your outcome and you want to increase by this crazy amount, that you in fact can only do that by being very, very, very focused on the one or two things that are going to unlock that level. And you have to outsource and do away with everything else that you have been doing. What you're doing right now is never going to get you to that 10x level. And maybe, let's do this. Next episode, we're going to dig deeper on the 10x, 2x philosophy. Benjamin Hardy and I'm going to forget the other author's name. He wrote The Gap and the Gain. Dan Sullivan. They are the authors, co-authors of 10x is easier than 2x. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And we're going to dig deeper into that entire philosophy on the next episode of the Low Bottom High Rise podcast. Thank you so much for joining, you guys. Make sure that you give us a review, if you would, on Apple or Spotify. Follow along. It really helps to push just this message out there to the world. Share it on your social, tag me, and hit me up in my DMs if you have any questions at all. We'll see you on the next episode.